Hello everyone, good morning. Hope you're well. So today we're gonna have our, I think, fourth class. And first of all, can you please type in the chat box, how are you today? I'd like to see your answer, then I'm gonna start the class. So please comment below, how are you today? And today I'm gonna start with a very powerful message. Probably that's gonna relate to you. So yeah, just quickly type in the chat box, how are you today? By this time, just I'd like to make sure that the okay, excellent, it's working. Thank you for answering. So I got a lot of answers. So Ratul Ghosh said I'm also well. Anybody else? Okay, got it. Thank you. Moshir said well. Memi Jahan Chaudhary said Assalamu alaikum salam. Saiful Jahan said well. Okay, thank you for responding. So now the powerful message I'd like to give you is, can you please type in the chat box, if you are born poor, it's okay. Type in the chat box very quickly. If you were born poor, that's okay. But if you die poor, that's a crime. Type in the chat box. I'd like to see this whole message. And I'd like to start this class with this message so that you can understand what I mean by that. If you were born poor, that's okay. But if you die poor, that's a crime. Type in the chat box. I'd like to see your whole message. Okay, by this time, I'd like to acknowledge some sort of questions from you. So Mrs. Asma Bibli said, great, and you? I'm really great, thank you. Thanks for asking. Mushfira Khan said, how are you, sir? Yeah, I'm really good. MD Ahmed said, how are you, sir? Yeah, I'm really great. Thank you for asking this question. So can you please type in the chat box, if you were born poor, that's okay. But if you die poor, that's a crime. And I'd like to explain to you in a minute. So thank you, Mushfira Khan. So she said, if you were born poor, that's okay. But if you die poor, that's a crime. That's a crime. I'd like to see the comment from everyone else. Type in the chat box, if you are born poor, that's okay. But if you die poor, that's a crime. Type in the chat box. I'd like to see this statement. If you are born poor, that's okay. But if you die poor, that's a crime. Very quickly, please type in the chat box. Okay, let me tell you something is very crucial, and I think I need to share with you as well. So you know my story, right? So I was born in a lower middle class family. My father was a high school teacher. My mom was a primary school teacher. And when I graduated from Chittagong University, then I moved to Dhaka. And I was trying to find some sort of jobs so that I can get benefited financially. So yeah, please keep typing. If you are born poor, that's okay. But if you die poor, that's a crime, right? So when I came to Dhaka city, then I was trying to find a job. And by this time, one of my senior brothers, he said, would you like to join Cyphers? I said, do you think I can? He said, no, I know you were engaged in Chittagong University debating club, used to speak good English. So I think it's worth of trying. Then I said, I asked him what's the procedure and all that stuff. And he said, there are two things you can apply for. Number one is teacher. So if you'd like to become a teacher, then you should apply as a teacher. But if you'd like to go for marketing, you don't need that much, skills in English. Just you're gonna work as a marketing executive. And I said, can I try for teaching stuff? And he said, of course you can. Then I made the application, and the HR recruitment team, they took the interview, and after that they said you got to pay 2,000 course fee as a training material, and we're gonna give you training for the whole course. And once you finish this course, then we're gonna take another interview. We're gonna, just push you into the class, real class, and there you're gonna take the class. You're gonna conduct the class. If the students like your class, we like your class, then we're gonna take you. Otherwise, you are rejected. I said, that's a challenging job, right? So then I didn't have that much money because I used to get 2,000 taka every month from my dad. So, however, I had some money saved. So I paid 2,000 taka. And after that, I didn't have that much money to buy the lunch, right? And guess what? When the lunch time, when we have got a break for the lunch, so everybody used to go to a hotel for the lunch. But I didn't have money to, buy the lunch. So I used to go long way from the training center in a tea stall, and just I used to have what is called some kind of bread. It's called butter bun and tea, right? And that time I used to smoke as well. So I used to smoke like what is called Benson and all that stuff, but I didn't have money. So I started smoking what is called some sort of biri. It's called nasir, biri, something like this. So that happened to my life as well. So that's why I'd like to share with you. If you are born poor, that's okay. But if you die poor, that's a crime. So you have seen where I'm coming from. And now we have got offices in London, Birmingham, Manchester, and international offices in Dhaka, Sylhet, India, and Pakistan. It didn't start in one day, right? It's been started 10, 11 years ago. That was my focus. That was my mission. So, and I was committed as well. And the message I got from one of my mentor, he said, if you are born poor, that's okay. But if you die poor, that's a crime. And he said, probably you don't have that much expectation for yourself, but you have got family members, you have got parents, you have got son, daughter. So they have got a lot of expectation. If you cannot buy quality things for your parents, it's some sort of shame for you. If you are not able to buy some sort of things for your daughter or son, this is the shame for you, because probably you didn't try enough to be solvent financially. So that's why I would like to, request you to write down somewhere else, like behind or something else, so that you can see it. And once you see it, and then you understand that, okay, I cannot blame my parents that I was born poor. But my teacher, my mentor, he said, if I die poor, that's a crime. So I got to do something in this world. I got to make a better place. And how I'm going to make a better place? Just, increase my skills, increase my income, helping others. And so long story short, now that Habib, who couldn't buy a lunch, who used to go a long way because he was so shy, people would see him that he can't afford the lunch, and he was just used to get tea and bread. And after, I think 4 or 5 years, I beat the financial struggle. I became so solvent. I built my own house in Bangladesh. It's worth of like 1 crore, right? I bought a house in the United Kingdom, and I drive luxury car, right? So why it happened to me? Because I believed it, the message that I was born poor, that's okay, but I couldn't die poor. I need to experience a lot of things in my life. And that's why I tried so hard. I learned only one skill, that is called English language, and that's helped me a lot to come in this point, right? So can you please type in the chat box, agree, if you agree with this statement? If you are born poor, that's okay. But if you die poor, that's a crime. Do you agree with this statement? Please type in the chat box, agree. If you don't agree, then type in the chat box, disagree. আপনি যদি এই স্টেটমেন্টের সাথে এগ্রি করে থাকেন, type in the chat box, agree. আপনি যদি disagree করে থাকেন, type in the chat box, disagree. Quickly, I'd like to see how many of you. Okay. Next thing I'd like to share with you is I'd like to recap. So that you can understand. And okay, a lot of students are saying agree. Thank you. So now the next question I'm going to ask you is, how many of you are here who would like to study abroad and you would like to sit for IELTS exam? And how many of you are here who would like to improve their English skills so that they can get a better job in their own country? So if you'd like to sit for IELTS, please type in the chat box IELTS. And if you'd like to improve your English skills and get a better job, better salary, then type in the chat box English. So that I can understand why are you here. I repeat, if you'd like to study abroad and you would like to sit for IELTS exam, type in the chat box IELTS. And if you'd like to if you'd like to improve your English skills and get a better job, then type in the chat box English. Okay, so Sadi Islam said IELTS. I'd like to see. Ratul said IELTS. Mushfiya said IELTS. Ronnie said English. Tamanna Sweetie said IELTS. Sadi Islam said IELTS. Farooq said English. Mushfira Khan said IELTS. Anor Mia said IELTS. Shahin Alam said English. Sani said IELTS. Mushfira Khan said IELTS. Adrizak said IELTS. Okay. Tami said IELTS. Nisha said IELTS. Shibli said IELTS. Nurunuddin said IELTS. Rosina said IELTS. Okay. Oh my God. So I can see, I mean, 90% students, they are here. They would like to study abroad, and that's why they would like to sit for IELTS exam. So now I'd like to give a challenge, and I'd like to give reward for that as well. From this batch, if you, 30 students get the certificate. I mean, what I mean by that is they come to the class on time, they practice a lot, they give the presentation, and once they give 12 presentation, they're gonna get a certificate. So from this batch, if you get 30 certificates, I'll give you a free IELTS course. Let me tell you one more time. So from this batch, if I get 30 students who pass this this course, you speak English in 12 days and get 30 certificates, I will give you a free course, IELTS course, completely free. There is nothing attached. Nothing attached. I don't like to ask you even a single penny, right? So all you got to do is now you need to inspire yourself on the Facebook group, on the WhatsApp group. You need to, push each other that, okay, do it, give your presentation. And my teacher promised that if 30 of us, pass this test, then he's going to give a free IELTS course. And it's going to cost me like 1 to 1.5 lakh taka. I'm going to give you, right? Because I'm blessed financially that I can help you like this way. So how many students I'm expecting from this batch? Please type in the chat box. কতজন স্টুডেন্ট আমি এই ব্যাচ থেকে এক্সপেক্ট করতেছি যারা সার্টিফিকেট নেবে? যদি 30 জন স্টুডেন্ট এই ব্যাচ থেকে সার্টিফিকেট পায়, then I will offer you IELTS course, free IELTS course. Type in the chat box 30. So dear team, if you're watching this video, please make note. I have announced this for my students. So if you would like to get certificate, you got to give 12 presentation, and once I count that, okay, 1, 2, 3, 30 students got certificate, that means you got a course, free English IELTS, free IELTS course. Type in the chat box how many certificates I would like to see from this batch. 30. So all you got to do is you need to push yourself, you need to inspire, you need to motivate, you need to give a lot of posts in the Facebook group UK Study Visa that, okay, today we got an announcement that if we pass this course, get 30 certificates, then our teacher will arrange a free IELTS course. Okay, are you excited? If you're excited, please type in the chat box excited. But bear in mind, if I see 29 people got the certificate, I will not reward you. It has to be 30. Because the reason I'm saying this is I'd like to see 30 serious people. If I, run a batch IELTS best. And if the teacher doesn't see the students inside the class, probably they will not be excited. They'll not be motivated to teach you. And probably I'm going to waste a lot of money for this reason. So that's why I'd like to find out 30 students, serious students who came to this class, who has finished this course and who has got the certificate. Once I got 30, you got your IELTS class, right? So make sure you give a post on Facebook group that just write a post. So we got to pass 30, we got to claim 30 certificates, then we're gonna get this course, okay? I think a lot of students are excited. Pritisha said excited, Manik said excited, Asma said excited, Adriza Karim said excited. Okay, thank you. Thank you for responding. So now, what's gonna happen tomorrow? Tomorrow is the class that's gonna change your whole life. I repeat, tomorrow's class will change your whole life. And the way that changed my life. Can you remember I said I went to a seminar and I took a lot of notes, whatever they gave, the information. And at the end of the seminar, I asked them that, can I get the money back? And they didn't understand my question back, because that time I was not that much good in English. They said, sorry, I didn't mean that. I mean, after finishing this course, can I work and can I save some money? And this is how can I get my money back? I said, of course you can. That's called PSW. So this is the opportunity you have got right now, right? So if you study abroad, like in the United Kingdom, and if you finish your course, then you can apply for 2 years work permit. That's called post-study work. And once you have got 2 years experience, then you have got so many opportunities to go to, again, work permit, to start your own business, for a sponsorship visa and all of this, right? So probably I will share with you in another class. So tomorrow's class will be all about your seminar, your information. So make sure you come to the class on time. You take a lot of notes. And at the end of this class, so there will be Q&A. So you can ask the questions to the team, and also there will be one-to-one consultation. If you follow me, please type in the chat box, one-to-one consultation. So to do one-to-one consultation, you got to download an app that's called Zoom. So the spelling is Zoom, Zoom. So make sure you download that app. So at the end of the seminar, then on the YouTube, so we're gonna give you the link. If you have got any questions, so what do you need to do? Just you're gonna go there, just click the link, and it is gonna take you inside the Zoom room. Then you will see in the small Zoom room virtually, there will be one student consultant, and there will be you. So if you have got any questions in Bengali, Hindi, Urdu, so my team will be able to help you. Sorry, I cannot speak Hindi or Urdu, but they can, right? So they will be able to help you. So please type in the chat box, one-to-one. Okay, thank you. Thank you for responding. Thank you for responding. So one-to-one. So all you got to do is you got to download Zoom app, right? Okay, so let's start today's class. How many of you are really excited to have today's class? This is called deep question. So after finishing this class, if you become an officer, I mean police officer, then you'll be able to integrate people, right? So after finishing this class, you will not struggle to ask questions. So whatever the questions you'd like to ask, you'll be able to ask, right? So let's say we're gonna jump into the class. So now the first question I'm gonna ask you, can you remember the second structure was subject plus verb, right? Can you please type in the chat box, subject plus verb? Subject plus verb. Quickly, please type in the chat box, subject plus verb. Subject plus verb. That was the second structure, and that was the very basic structure we have started with. Subject plus verb. Okay. Okay, thank you for responding. So Cynthia said subject plus verb. Excellent, thank you. Adriza Karim said subject plus verb. Shofiqul Islam Roni said subject plus verb. Zabir said subject plus verb. Farooq said subject plus verb. Thank you. Thank you. So you know this is structure, right? So like I speak, we speak, you speak, you speak, they speak, he speaks, she speaks, it speaks, Tony speaks. That was the structure, and we made a lot of sentences, right? So subject plus verb. And if I change the verb practice, then according to the structure, the sentence should be I practice, we practice, you practice, you practice, they practice, he practices, she practices, it practices, Tony practices. Right now, and after subject plus verb, what was the next structure? Can you remember? Please type in the chat box. What was the next structure? How to ask a question, right? So please type in the chat box structure. I'd like to see if you can still remember. After subject plus verb, there was another structure. I have shared it with you. You have practiced. That's called ask question. So yes, no question. Can you please type in the chat box? Still, if you can remember, what was the structure? Very quickly, type in the chat box. There was do plus subject plus verb question mark. Type in the chat box. Do plus subject plus verb plus question mark. Do plus subject plus verb plus question mark. Type in the chat box very quickly. Okay, by the way, I mean, if you missed first and second classes, so still you can get those classes on YouTube, right? It's recorded and it's on playlist. So if you go to YouTube, on the right hand side, you'll see class 1, class 2, class 3, right? So we have got so many classes, but this batch is named Speak English in 12 days. So Speak English in 12 days, class 1, class 2, class 3, or first class, second class, third class, something like this. So yeah, that's right. So Adriza Karim said do plus subject plus verb plus question mark. That's right. That's right. Do plus subject plus verb plus question mark. That's what I would like to know from you. Do plus subject plus verb plus question mark. Okay. Thank you for responding. So this is how we practice a lot. Do I speak? Do you speak? Do you speak? Do you speak? Do they speak? Does he speak? Does she speak? Does it speak? Does Tony speak? Can you still remember? This is how we practiced. Do I speak? Do you speak? Do you speak? Do you speak? Do they speak? Does he speak? Does she speak? Does it speak? Does Tony speak? That was the questions, right? So if you ask this sort of questions, do you learn English? Your answer should be yes, I do, right? So without it, even speaking a word, you can answer it just nodding your head. Yes, no, right? So now, if you'd like to get more information, then you need today's structure. So what are we going to do? We're going to add WS. So this is nothing new. Just we are, building the structure. First floor, foundation, first floor, second floor, third floor, something like this. So today's structure would be WS plus do plus subject plus verb plus question mark. Can you please type in the chat box? WS plus do plus subject plus verb plus question mark. So by this time, I'd like to share my screen so that I can go to the okay. So WS plus do plus subject plus verb plus question mark. I'd like to see everyone else comment. So if you don't know this structure, that means you won't be able to ask questions, right? So WS plus do plus subject plus verb plus question mark. I'd like to see everyone else comments. Please type in the chat box. WS plus do plus subject plus. Okay, so before starting this class, I'd like to ask you a question. So how many of you have completed all the homework and uploaded your presentation in the Facebook group UK Study Visa? So if you have completed all of them, please type in the chat box all. If you have completed 2, please type in the chat box 2. If you have just completed 1, please type in the chat box 1. So you didn't miss the opportunity yet, right? So if you missed, let's say, second and third presentation, it's still today you can, after finishing this class, you can do presentation. And remember, right? So if I get 30 certificates from this batch, I'm gonna give you free IELTS course. And that's gonna cost me like 1 lakh to 1.5 lakh, right? In BDT, like probably 1,500 pounds. And I'm really ready to do for you, but you got to come to me as well. So I can see a lot of students said all, Kazi said 2, Mushfiria Khan said 1, Asma Bibi said all, Nurun Ridna said all. Okay, so who finished just 1? As a classmates, right? As a teammate, you need to inspire them. You need to send a message, hey, you got to finish your homework, otherwise we will not get a free IELTS course. So make sure you finish all your homework. I'm gonna count the certificates 1, 2, 3, 30. Once I get 30 certificates, I'll ask my team, I'll ask my head of international team, I'll ask, so how many certificates did the students get? If they say 30, I will announce the date and you will start free IELTS course, right? So if you go somewhere else, it's going to cost you like 15,000-20,000 taka. And if you just complete 30 presentation, you're going to get the whole course completely free. Okay, so still I can see a lot of students, they have presented 1. So you got to finish it by today, right? So if you have finished 1 or 2, can you please type in the chat box when you're going to give the remaining presentation? Is it today or tomorrow? Type in the chat box very quickly. Type in the chat box very quickly when you're gonna finish your presentation. Okay, so type in the chat box when you're gonna finish your presentation. And I know this is internet. Probably you are watching this class from I'm not sure. Can you please type in the chat box, where are you, from where are you watching this class? From where are you joining this class? Type in the chat box. Is it from Dhaka, Sylhet, Sunamganj, Maulvibajar, India, Pakistan? Where are you watching from this class? Because sometimes, internet is not that much strong. So I know you drop. So once you drop, you need to come back as soon as possible to join the class, right? So I'd like to see, where are you watching this from? Because sometimes you get complaint that, sir, I'm living in the village and internet is not that much strong. So that's why I cannot join your class properly. Okay, so I can see a lot of students. So Mushfaraz Khan said Pakistan. Okay, Kustia, Pakistan, Naranganj, Sylhet, Maulvibajar, Chittagong, Joypurhat, Dhaka, Kustia, Pakistan, Jeshore, Gazipur, Dhaka. Okay, so yeah, I do understand. If you haven't got the internet connection strong, then I would recommend you, if you drop, just come back quickly so that you don't miss any portion of this class. And also, if you miss any class, so the class is recorded, so you can go there and you can watch this whole class and you can give your presentation. Right, so today's class is all about how to ask deep questions. I'm really excited because after finishing this class, you will be able to ask question correctly, with confidence and naturally. So now I'd like to take you through this class. So this is structure. So can you see something on the screen? And this is the question I'd like to ask you. Do you believe it? Winners never quit, quitters never win. So if you believe, please type in the chat box, yes, I do. You know how to answer, right? Do you believe it? Type in the chat box. Winners never quit and quitters never win. So quit means ছেড়ে দেওয়া, right? So winners never quit, quitters never win. Do you believe it? If you do, please type in the chat box, I do. If you don't believe it, please type in the chat box, no, I don't. So winners never quit, quitters never win. Do you believe it? If you do, please type in the chat box, yes, I do. If you don't believe it, please type in the chat box, yes, I don't. No, I don't. Okay, thank you for responding. So now I'd like to ask you a question is, how do you define yourself? Are you winner or are you quitter? Type in the chat box. Are you winner or are you quitter? Type in the chat box. If you're a winner, type in the chat box, I'm winner. If you're a quitter, please type in the chat box, I'm quitter. So who are you? Are you winner or are you quitter? Are you winner or are you quitter? Type in the chat box very quickly. Okay, I can see Mushfaq Khan said winner. Okay, I just said winner. Kazi Hasib said winner. Okay, someone said I can see it properly. So let me make it a bit bigger so that you can see it. Winners never quit and quitters never win. I think now we can see it. Right. So yeah, you're a winner. So if you don't quit, that means you're a winner. You know, when I started my own business, so I was struggling here and there. Right. I don't know how to do the sales call. I don't know how to do the advertisement and all this stuff. But I didn't quit. I said, okay, I need to learn this. So I find out a mentor who can help me regarding this. And I went there and I said, can you please help me? Can you please teach me how to do the Facebook advertisement? They did it, right? I didn't quit. Next thing, when I was struggling with the sales call, I used to call a lot of people over the phone. And I say, hey, my name is Habib and I'm from Hassle-Free Education. How are you today? They put down the phone. Hey, how can I help you? Put down the phone, right? And then I searched for a mentor who can help me regarding the sales, and the sales expert, he said, okay, Habib, you got to do these things instead of doing this. And then I started getting sales, right? So I didn't quit. So what do you think? So who never quits, he becomes winner. So that's why I'd like to motivate you. I'd like to inspire you that never ever quit, never ever give up, right? So if you never ever give up, that means you will be a winner. And let's see from this batch. So are you winner or quitter? So all I need from you is 12 presentation. And I know if you do 12 presentation, your life will be changed. You'll become a different person. Probably I don't have to help you a lot. By this time, I'm in 12 class, you will see the change you have got, the learnings you have achieved. So yeah, I would definitely recommend you be a winner, not quitter. Okay, so the structure is this: do plus subject plus verb plus question mark. That was the structure. Then just all you need to do is we need to put WS question behind the do. So let me explain in Bengali. আগে আমরা যেটা কোশ্চেন করতাম do plus subject plus verb. So do I practice, do you practice, do you practice, do you practice, do they practice, does he practice, does she practice, does it practice, does Tony practice. So এখন কি করব, আমরা শুধু WS কোশ্চেনটা অ্যাড করে নিব এবং সিকোয়েন্সিয়ালি আমরা এইভাবে যাব. So for example, why do I practice, এইভাবে আমরা সেন্টেন্স মেকিং করব. Why do I practice? Why do we practice? Why do you practice? Why do you practice? Why do they practice? Why does he practice? Why does she practice? Why does it practice? Why does Tony practice? So if you change the direction, that means you are making mistakes. You got to follow this structure if you'd like to ask question correctly. Do you get me? So if you really understood, please type in chat box understood. Type in the chat box understood. So this is how we need to practice. So do plus subject plus verb. Now I'm putting a WS question. So for example, why? So why do I practice? Why do we practice? Why do you practice? Why do you practice? Why do they practice? Why does he practice? Why does she practice? Why does it practice? Why does Tony practice? So if you really understood, please type in the chat box understood. Okay, now, okay, so I'm getting a lot of response. So Adrija Karim said understood. Ronnie said understood. Pritisha said understood. Okay, thank you. Thank you for responding. So now we're going to practice. So once I say 3, 2, 1, go, you need to practice with me. And the more you practice, the more you become fluent. Right? So ready? You need to practice with me. Once I say 3, 2, 1, go, you need to give me all the sentences, 9 sentences using why, right? Don't touch the other things like how, when, how long, which. We're going to go one by one. So all you got to do is you need to practice with me using why. Ready? 3. So you need to practice loudly. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. Why do I practice? Why do you practice? Why do you practice? Why do you practice? Why do they practice? Why does he practice? Why does she practice? Why does it practice? Why does Tony practice? Right. Okay, so can you please type in the chat box how many sentences you made using why? How many sentences you made using why? Type in the chat box, please. How many sentences you made? Okay, so next one, we're going to practice with how. So how do I practice? How do you practice? How do you practice? How do you practice? How do they practice? How does, right? যখন he, she, it চলে আসবে তখনই আমরা কি ইউজ করব? Does. So how does he practice? How does she practice? How does it practice? How does Tony practice? Okay. Now I can see a lot of comments. So 99999. Thank you for practicing with me. Again, I would like to say the more you practice, the better speaker you become, right? So don't miss this opportunity. Once I start asking you that practice with me, please practice with me. Now we're gonna start with how, right? So speak loudly, right? So start with how. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. How do I practice? How do you practice? How do you practice? How do you practice? How do they practice? How does he practice? How does she practice? How does it practice? How does Tony practice? So if you made 9 sentences using how, please type in the chat box how. Type in the chat box how. I'd like to see how many of you practiced with how. Type in the chat box very quickly how. Okay, now this is the challenge I'd like to give you. This is the challenge I'd like to give you. So we know how to make those sort of sentences, but just think about this. When you'd like to speak to someone else and would like to ask a lot of questions, and if you take a lot of time, probably the person will go away, right? So that's why all you got to do is you need to practice so that you can make the question very quickly, naturally, with confidence, and the person will stick to you and they will answer, keep answering you. So I can see a lot of students, they practice with how. Thank you for responding, right? So now this time we're gonna practice the same structure using why, but our challenge is we're gonna make all the sentences using one breath. How many breaths we're gonna take? Just one, right? So using why, we're gonna make all the sentences. And if you can't make all the sentences using one breath, that means you need to practice more. So probably we're gonna finish the class, but you shouldn't finish your practicing, right? So once you finish the class, you need to go back and you need to practice this structure until you make all the sentences in one breath naturally, right? So that's the thing I'd like to ask you. So this time we're gonna practice with this challenge is one breath, right? আমরা সবগুলো সেন্টেন্স তৈরি করব এক নিঃশ্বাসে। Ready 3, 2, 1, go. Give it a try. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. Why do I practice? Why do you practice? Why do you practice? Why do you practice? Why do they practice? Why does you practice? Why does she practice? Why does it practice? Why does Tony practice? So if I can do it, you can too, right? Yeah, keep speaking, keep speaking, keep speaking. So now, if you made all the sentences using just one breath, please type in the chat box 1. If you have taken 2 breaths, please type in the chat box 2. I'd like to see how many of you made all the sentences using one breath. Okay, Rukul Mirda said 1 breath. Okay, thank you. Adriza Karim said 1. Alamgir said yes. I'm not sure what you mean by yes. So Ratul Ghosh said 1. Alamgir Islam said 1. Okay, Zabir Ahmed said 1. Asma Rabli said 1. Okay, thank you for responding. Peter said Shah said 2. Peter Shah, you need to practice. Nishat Mahua said 1. Nurun Ridna said 1. Qazi Hasib said 1. Shahin Alab said 1. Waziha said yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you for responding. So now we're going to practice with how. Again, we're going to make all the sentences using just one breath, within one breath, right? So let's start. 3, 2, 1. How, right? 3, 2, 1, go. So how do I practice? How do you practice? How do you practice? How do you practice? How do they practice? How does he practice? How does she practice? How does it practice? How does Tony practice? So yeah, keep speaking, keep practicing. How? So within only one breath, you need to practice this. Okay, so now we're gonna start with where. So you know, in speaking we say where, but from now on that's wrong. You should say where, not where, where. So this is how I need to practice. So where do I practice? Where do you practice? Where do you practice? Where do you practice? Where do they practice? Where does he practice? Where does she practice? Where does it practice? Where does Tony practice? Right. So are you ready? So we're gonna practice with where. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. Where do I practice? Where do you practice? Where do you practice? Where do you practice? Where do they practice? Where does he practice? Where does she practice? Where does it practice? Where does Tony practice? Okay, so please keep practicing using where. So if you made 9 sentences within one breath using the WS question where, please type in the chat box where, so that I can understand that you made all the sentences using one breath. Type in the chat box where. Type in the chat box where. So next one, we're gonna practice with when. When. So this is how I need to practice. When do I practice? Okay, see if I can. So when do I practice? When do you practice? When do you practice? When do you practice? When do they practice? When does he practice? When does she practice? When does it practice? When does Tony practice? So please type in the chat box where if you made all the sentences using where within a breath. Okay, thank you for responding. I can see a lot of students, they made it, right? So get ready for when. We're gonna practice with when. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. When do I practice? When do you practice? When do you practice? When do you practice? When do they practice? When does he practice? When does she practice? When does it practice? When does Tony practice? Okay, so if you made all the sentences using when, please type in the chat box when. Type in the chat box when. Type in the chat box when. Okay, so next one is using how long. It means the duration, how long. Is it 1 day, 2 days, 1 month, 1 minute, 30 minutes? How long, right? Kotokkon. So we're gonna practice with how long. So how long do I practice? How long do you practice? How long do you practice? How long do you practice? How long do they practice? How long does he practice? How long does she practice? How long does it practice? How long does Tony practice? Get it? Right, so we're gonna practice. Are you ready? Ready? So using how long, you need to give me all the sentences using one breath. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. How long do I practice? How long do you practice? How long do you practice? How long do they practice? How long does he practice? Yeah, keep going. Keep going. How long does it practice? How long does Tony practice? Okay. So if you made all the sentences using how long, please type in the chat box how long. Type in the chat box how long. Very quickly, please type in the chat box how long. Okay, next one, we're gonna use which. So when we use which, we put a noun. For example, which college, which university, which country, which city, right? So যখনই আমরা which use করি তখনই আমরা which এর সাথে একটা noun use করি, right? So which teacher, which class. So this is how we need to practice. So let's say which language, right? So let me repeat. So whenever we're going to use which, we need to put a noun with which. যখনই আমরা which use করব এর সাথে একটা noun use করতে হয়. So which language do I practice? Which language do you practice? Which language do you practice? Which language do you practice? Which language do they practice? Which language does he practice? Which language does she practice? Which language does it practice? Which language does Tommy practice? Okay, so are we ready? We need to practice with which. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. Which language do I practice? Which language do you practice? Which language do you practice? Which language do you practice? Which language do they practice? Which language does he practice? Which language does she practice? Which language does it practice? Which language does Tony practice? Okay. Okay. Now, can you please answer me how many sentences you made using which language? Type in the chat box. I'd like to see. How many sentences have you made using which language? Type in the chat box. I'd like to see the number of sentences you made. Okay, excellent. Thank you for responding. Thank you. Very quickly, type in the chat box how many sentences you made. Okay, so Abdul Rahman said 9. Mushfiya Khan said 9. Alamgir Khan said 9. Ratul Ghosh said 9. Aditya Kumin said 9. Thank you for responding. Thank you. Thank you for responding. I know now you can make it. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Using this structure, can you make questions? If you can, please type in the chat box. Yes, I can. I'd like to see how many of you can make questions. You understand the whole structure and you can answer it as well according to the questions, right? So please type in the chat box. Type in the chat box. Yes, I can. Can you make questions? Can you ask deep questions? Type in the chat box. Okay. So now I'd like to ask you a few questions to see if you really understood this whole structure. Okay. Now I can see a lot of response. So yes, I can. Yes, I can. Thank you. Alamgir said yes, obviously I can. Okay, thank you for responding. So now I'm going to ask you a question. You need to answer me, and when you answer me, you need to give me the long sentence, long answer, not short, because I know there are a lot of students here for IELTS test. So most of the students, they cannot make the answer long. That's why they get 4.5, 5.5, 6. But if you know how to make long answers using different structure and all that stuff, you might get 7.5. যারা IELTS এর জন্য প্রস্তুতি নিচ্ছেন অনেকেই IELTS এ কম স্কোর তুলেন, কারণ হলো আপনি জানেন না কিভাবে লং আনসার তৈরি করতে হয়, right? So that's why from now on I would request you, please try to give me the long answer. So the first question I'm going to ask you, just you need to give me answer. আপনারা শুধু আমাকে আনসার করবেন. Just answer me. Do you learn English? Type in the chat box. Do you learn English? Do you learn English? Type in the chat box very quickly. If your answer is yes, then you should say yes, I do. If your answer is no, no, I don't. Right? Quickly type in the chat box. I'd like to see if you really understood. Okay. The question is, do you learn English? Your answer should be yes, I do. Okay, thank you. Thank you for responding. Asma said yes, I do. Mushfiya said yes, I do. Shumon Nilay said yes, I do. Okay, yeah, answer is yes, I do. Next question I'm going to ask you, why do you learn English? Answer me. Why do you learn English? Why? Why do you learn English? Why do you learn English? Give me the long answer. I learn English because da 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 da. I learn English for many reasons. First of all, moreover, furthermore. Right? 3 reasons. So, why I ask this question is usually if I ask this question, why do you learn English? Some of the students, they said for myself, for IELTS exam, to study abroad. This is a short answer. So instead of saying this, you can say, I learn English for many reasons, or I learn English for several reasons. I learn English for multifarious reasons. First of all, I want to study abroad. That's my dream, and that's why I need to sit for IELTS exam. And secondly, once I go to the English speaking country, I need to find a job to survive. And I believe that if I have a good comment on English, I'll find a job naturally. And the third reason is, once I finish this course, probably I might have some sort of assignments, exams. So if I can write well, I do understand English well, I will get a good score in academic result. That's all. Did you get me? Did you get me? So if you would like to sit for IELTS exam, you need to make your answer longer, better. Use different types of vocabulary. I said many, I said multifarious, I said several, numerous, right? A number of reasons. So that's why I'd like to ask you, why do you want to learn English? Why do you learn English? So your answer should be saying something like this. Well, I want to learn English for many reasons, or there are many reasons, right? So you need to start with this. Then you need to say, first of all, moreover, furthermore. Give 3 reasons. Why do you want to learn English? Okay, so don't play shortcut. Did you understand what I said? So the question is, why do you want to learn English? Just try to make answer bigger and better. Okay, so I'd like to read some comments. So Kazi Hasif said, I learn English because I want to improve my English efficiency for the IELTS exam. If I got a good score, I'll go abroad for higher education. Okay, Kazi, that's a fantastic answer. So you can give 3-4 reasons, right? So you can start with, I learn English for multifarious reasons. First of all, I would say I want to improve my English proficiency for IELTS exam. If I got a good score, I would go for higher education. Secondly, or moreover and furthermore, right? So moreover gave another second reason, furthermore gave another reason. And this is how, if you answer in the IELTS exam, you don't have to worry about 5.5, right? You're gonna get 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5 in IELTS exam, right? So yeah, this is how you need to answer it. And once you answer it, try to do 2 things. Number 1, try to use different sort of a structure and different types of vocabulary. That's the only thing you need to work on. And if you do it, you will get a better score in IELTS exam. Okay. Next question I'm going to ask you is, how do you learn English? Type in the chat box. How do you learn English? How do you learn English? So if you ask me the same question, I would say, there are many ways, or there are several ways I learn English. First of all, I come to the online class at Hassle Free Education, and I practice a lot in the class. And secondly, I practice at home as well. Whatever my teacher gives me the homework, I stand in front of the mirror and I practice 10 times. Then I pick up my phone, I record it, and I upload the video. And furthermore, I found one of the speaking partner inside the Facebook group. I schedule like 30 minutes every day, and I practice with him. And this is how I practice English. Did you get me? Don't play shortcut. If you play shortcut, your score would be 4.55 in IELTS exam. But if you play like this way, so how do you practice English? So there are multiple ways where I practice English. There are several ways I practice English. First of all, I come to the class on time on YouTube at Hassle Free Education, and I practice a lot during the class time. Moreover, I practice at home whenever my teacher gives me homework. I stand in front of the mirror. I practice 10 times, then I pick up my phone, I record it and upload the video. Furthermore, I got a friend from a Facebook group, UK Study Visa, and so we scheduled a time, and every single day we practice with him, or I practice with him 30 minutes. And this is how I practice English. Did you get me? So now answer me, how do you practice English? How do you practice English? How do you practice English? Try to speak more. Try to speak more. If you don't like to get 4.5, 5 in IELTS, practice more. Try to extend your answer. যদি আপনি IELTS এ 4.55 না পেতে চান, তাহলে কি করতে হবে? আপনার আনসারকে এক্সটেন্ড করতে হবে, right? So please answer me, how do you practice English? Okay, so if you cannot type all the things, but now you got the ideas, right? And this is how you need to practice at home. So the next question I'm going to ask you, where do you practice English? Where do you practice English? Please answer in the chat box. Where do you practice English? So it might be physical location, it might be virtual. For example, I practice where. So the question is demanding an answer about the location, where, right? A question থেকে কি আনসার, এই কোশ্চেনটা আপনাকে কাছ থেকে একটা আনসার পেতে চাচ্ছে, যেটার আনসার হলো লোকেশন। Okay, Jabir Ahmed, thank you. That's a very good answer. Okay, so where do you practice English? So the same way you can say, well, I practice English in many places. For example, at Hassle Free Education online, and also I practice at home as well when I get time. And also, sometimes I watch television, especially English movies, and this is how I practice English. So where do you practice English? So you need to give 3-4 locations. Where do you practice English? So next question is, when do you practice? Type in the chat box. When do you practice? When do you practice? Again, I'm saying try to extend your ideas, right? Instead of saying one sentence, try to make many sentences. IELTS test is not the test to assess your knowledge of English. They would like to see how do you use this language, right? So if they ask you some sort of questions, if you can give them a very good answer, that means you have got a full comment in English and you'll get a better score in the IELTS exam. So the question is, when do you practice English? So you can say, I practice English in different times. So first of all, I practice 8 o'clock in the morning when I join the class. Moreover, I practice at home as well when I finish my homework. And furthermore, I practice English with my friends, sometimes with my classmates as well. Right? So when? And the next question is, how long do you practice English? How long? আপনি কতক্ষণ ইংরেজি প্র্যাকটিস করেন? Okay, Azhar Islam said, I am practicing English. Azhar, I think you missed the second class, right? So you shouldn't say am. I practice in English many places, okay? Not am, okay? So subject plus verb, there is nothing like am. Can you remember the structure? I practice, we practice, you practice, you practice, they practice, he practices, she practices, it practices, Tony practices, right? So now the next question is, how long do you practice? Is it 30 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? Is it all day long? How long do you practice English? Type in the chat box. How long? কতক্ষণ সময় আপনি practice করেন? Duration 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. How long do you practice English? Abdul Rahman, you made the same mistakes, right? So not I am practicing English. I practice in English many places. I practice English, not I am, right? Okay, so Shibli said I practice in English till 1 hour. So Shibli, your answer should be for an hour, not till. For an hour. I practice English for an hour. I practice English for 60 minutes. I practice English for 90 minutes, right? For 60 minutes, for 90 minutes. Okay, Jabir said every day I attempt to practice for 3 hours in message British podcast. Okay. Okay, I practice for 30 minutes. That's right. No need that. I practice in English for 2 hours. Anwar Mia. So you need to put a 4. I practice in English for 2 hours. For 2 hours, right? So the next question I'm going to ask you, which language do you practice? Which language do you practice? Type in the chat box. Which language do you practice? Which language do you practice? Which language do you practice? Type in the chat box. Which language do you practice? I practice English. I practice English. Okay, now so now we're going to do the reverse way. So you're going to ask me the question, I'm going to answer you, right? So the first question you're going to ask me, do you teach English? Type in the chat box. Question ta chat box e ekটু type করেন, do you teach English? Do you teach English? That's the first question. Please type in the chat box. Do you teach English? Do you teach English? Type in the chat box. So this time you're going to ask me the question. You're going to type the questions in the chat box and I'll answer you. Right? So type in the chat box, do you teach English? So Kazi, thank you for responding. So you need to give a question mark as well. Do you teach English? Question mark. Do you teach English? Question mark. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for responding. So do you teach English? My answer is yes, I do. Yes, I do. So the next question, using why, ask me a question. Using why, ask me the question. Why do you teach English? Type in the chat box. Why do you teach English? So if you ask me, do you teach English? I can say, yes, I do. I love teaching and traveling. You know, that's why I teach English. Right. So the next question, ask me using why. Why do you teach English? Why? No, using why. Ask me the question, why? Ask me the question, why? Why do you teach English? Why do you teach English? Question mark. Why do you teach English? Okay, so once I see your questions, all of your questions, then I'll answer it. Why do you teach English? Okay, excellent. Thank you for responding. So Fazlu said, why do you teach English? Why do you teach English? Nurul Haq. Shibli said, why do you teach English? Okay, this is how I'm going to answer it. There are many reasons I teach English. First of all, I love to help students who are struggling to get a better score in IELTS exam. And moreover, it's my passion. And that's why, you know, without charging even a single penny, I teach English. And lastly, I'd like to contribute to my society, community, and I'd like to help more students to come to study abroad. And that's why I teach English. Did you get me? So you asked me a short question, why do you teach English? and I gave 3-4 reasons, and I used different sorts of vocabularies, and I gave you answer. So next question asked me using how. Using how, ask me the question very quickly. I'd like to make sure that you know how to ask question. So using how, ask me the question. How দিয়ে আমাকে একটা question লিখে chat box এ পাঠিয়ে দেন. I'd like to make sure if you can make the questions or not. আমি দেখতে চাই আপনারা কোশ্চেন তৈরি করতে পারেন কি পারেন না. Okay, thank you. Rukun Muda said, how do you teach English? Okay, excellent. Excellent. How do you teach English? Yeah, so can you please just type in chat box, how do you teach English? How do you teach English? I'd like to see everyone's comment. How do you teach English? Question mark. How do you teach English? Question mark. So if you don't follow this order, your question would be a wrong question. So if you say how to teach English, wrong, right? So you need to follow this order. How do you teach English? Okay, so the same way I'm going to answer you is I teach English in many ways. First of all, I would say I teach English on Zoom online, and also I give them some sort of practice at the end of this every class, and also I request them to do the homework and upload on the Facebook group UK Study Visa. And this is how I teach English. Did you get me? So I'm trying to extend my answer, and the same thing you got to try. Just try to say a lot of things, right? So many is a good thing. So once you say first sentence, many reasons, many ways, then you can say reason number 1, reason number 2, reason number 3, and this is how you extend your answer, right? So the next question asked me using where. W-H-E-R-E, where. So ask me a question using where. Ask me the question using where. I'd like to see just if you can ask me the question right way. Where. I'm just eagerly waiting for your questions to see if you can make the sentence. Okay, Kazi have said, how do you feel when all of your students gets a good score in IELTS exam? Kazi, you know, right? Of course. We have got so many students who got better score in IELTS exam, and they are in the UK right now. One of them is Nasrin Sultana. So she got 6.5, and she studied University of Ulster London campus. And you know the story of her. She has got 2 kids. Her husband was working in a bank, senior officer, and they left everything and they came to this country. And you know the advantage of coming this country is their children education is completely free. But in this country, in the UK, if your children is less than 18 years old, you don't have to pay even a single penny, right? So yeah. So and another student recently, she got 7 in IELTS. She's studying in a Canadian university. Yeah, I feel proud for them. So I really feel proud of them. So okay, next question is, where do you teach English, right? Where do you teach English? Okay, that means you can ask the question right away. Where do you teach English? Question mark. So I teach English at Hassle Free Education. I teach English at Hassle Free Education. So next question is, which language? Then ask me the question, which language? Which language? Which language? So practice this question a lot. So in the next class, you know, you got a seminar, come class. So what's going to happen next is, in the next class is, you're going to get all the information, and your homework would be which country you'd like to study, which course you'd like to study. If you'd like to study that course in that country, what are the eligibility? What sort of requirements you need to fulfill, like tuition fee, English requirement, previous qualification, those sort of things. And once you finish this course, what's your future plan, right? So that's gonna be your homework in tomorrow's class. So make sure that you come to the class on time. And if you miss something, that means you miss a lot. Probably a piece of information that's gonna change your whole life, right? So can you remember I told you when I heard the message that after finishing this course, I'm gonna get 2 years work permit, I made the decision like this. Oh my God, this is the huge opportunity. I got to fly to the UK to study, right? So yeah, so piece of information is very, very important. So tomorrow's class would be life-changing. Don't miss tomorrow's class, right? Okay, the question, you need to ask me which language. So Saifun Jahan Shukriya said, which language do you teach? Excellent. That's how I need to ask question. I'd like to see everyone else comment. Fozlu said, which language do you teach English? Which language do you teach? Okay. Fozlu, you need to omit English, cross English, right? Which language do you teach? Which language do you teach? Rukul Meda. Excellent. Farooq said, which language do you teach? Okay. Thank you. So, yeah, that should be your question. Which language do you teach? Now, can you please answer me? Would you be able to use this sort of a structure for asking questions? Would you be able to? Please type in the chat box, yes, I will. I'd like to see how many of you would like to make this structure efficiently so that you can ask question very quickly, right? So here is the thing. Okay. So now I'd like to give a topic, a place you live. A place you live. Okay, now, dear IELTS student, especially I would say IELTS learners. So this is very important for you, because once you go through this process, you will find it very easy to answer your IELTS speaking test. And you know, there are 3 parts in IELTS speaking test, part 1, part 2, part 3. So part 1 just is general question. So why would you like to sit for IELTS exam? Da 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 da. Can I see your passport? Da 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 da. And the part 2 is there's gonna be some sort of questions they're gonna ask you, right? So general question they're gonna ask. And part 3 there will be, it's called cue card. That means they're gonna give you a topic, something like this, a place you live, right? And then you need to, all you need to do is you need to ask questions to the topic. And if you know how to ask question, you can answer it. Definitely, I know. Do you agree with me? If you know how to ask the question, that means you know how to answer it as well. So once you get the topic, the examiner will give you pen and paper, or pencil or paper, and you can take some notes for a minute, right? You will get like 60 seconds. So for example, you got the topic, a place you live. So what the questions you're gonna ask? What the questions you're gonna ask? Please type in the chat box. Please type in the chat box. So just ask questions to this topic. আপনাকে যেটা করতে হবে এখন, এই টপিকটাকে কোশ্চেন করতে হবে। কি কি কোশ্চেন আপনি করতে পারেন এই টপিককে? Please type in the chat box. Type in the chat box what kind of questions you can ask to this topic. Very quickly. So the first question might be where. Okay, where? Type in the chat box where. Okay, this is your exam, right? So ask the question to the topic. So if you can ask 3 to 5 questions, that means you can speak for 10 minutes. That's right. Thank you. Thank you, Nurun Ridna. the first question is, where do you live? Put a question mark. Where do you live? Can you please type in the chat box, everyone else? The question is, the first question is, where do you live, right? Or which place do you live? Okay, so general question is, where do you live? Okay, everyone else, can you please type in chat box quickly, where do you live? Okay, Asma, you can say which place do you live, not where place, just where do you live? Where do you learn English? Okay, Anwar, you are too late. Where do you live? Yeah, that's right. Where do you live? Where do you live? Okay, that's the first question. Next question is, why? Next question is, why? Can you please ask the question using why? Okay, so Sadian, you said, where do you live? Where do you live in? What is the, yeah, Jabir, what is the specialty? Okay, we're gonna go one by one. So the first question is, where do you live? Second question is, why? Using why, ask the question. Why? Why? Why do you live there? Why do you live there? Okay, so yeah, so if you say, the first question is, so where do you live? I can say, okay, we're gonna go to answer a bit later on. Why do you live there? Okay, next question is, how long? How long? How long? Make the full questions. How long? How long? So make a question using how long. How long? Okay, so ask me the question using how long. So how long? Excellent, Jabir Ahmed. So how long do you live there? How long do you live there? Okay, so these are the three questions. So first question is, where do you live? Second question is, why do you live there? Third question is, how long do you live there? Fourth question is, any memorable or any memorable memories do you have with this place? Any memorable or any sweet memory have you got with this place, right? And also, you can ask a question, why is it famous for? Why is it famous for? Okay, so first question I'm going to ask you, where do you live in? Where do you live in? Can you please type in the chat box, where do you live in? Very quickly. Don't give me the short answer. For example, if you ask me, where do I live in? You know, I live in a village. It's called Harlow. The county is in Essex. It's 25 to 30 minutes driving from London. Even a better way, I can say, the place I live is called Harlow. It's just 25 to 30 minutes away from London. It's a beautiful town, right? So if you say, where do you live in? I live in Harlow. So your answer score would be 4.5 to 5. But instead of saying that, if you say, you know, the place I live in is called Harlow, it's 25 to 35 minutes driving from London, and it's a beautiful small town. Did you get me? So the question is, where do you live? Answer me, where do you live in? So can you please answer me in the chat box, where do you live in? And try to extend your answer, the example I have given you. Okay, Shibli said, I live in Kustia, but now I'm a resident of Chittagong. Okay, Alamgir. Shivli said, well, I live in Gazipur, is beside the district Mymensingh. Okay, try to extend your answer. That's a good try. Azharul Islam said, I live in Bangladesh, is a capital city. Okay, excellent. Type in the chat box, where do you live in? I'd like to see everyone's answer. So Misbahul Islam Mamun said, I live in Gaibanda. So Misbahul, you can say something like this. Which part, right? It's a northern part of this country, is 300 kilometers away from Dhaka. It's my hometown, something like this. You can say, try to extend your answer. Don't play shortcut. Jabir said, I live in Mymensingh, called City of Education. There are significant historical places there. Okay, excellent. Try to extend your answer. Where do you live in? Okay, next question I'm going to ask you. Why do you live there? Why? Why do you live there? Give me the answer. So if you ask me, give me the answer. Why do you live there? Okay, Tawhida said, I live in Germany. Okay, Tawhida, thanks for joining this class. I didn't know you are from Germany. Okay. So yeah, answer me. Why do you live there? So if you ask me the same question, why do I live in Harlow? I would say there are many reasons I live in Harlow. First of all, it's a beautiful town, and you know, the place is called Harlow is between our workplace. My wife works in a Stansted airport and I work in London. So yeah, this is a place where I can commute easily. And secondly, I have got some family friends here, so on weekend we can spend time together. And the third thing is, this place is not that much expensive. I mean, if you'd like to rent a flat, is going to be around £900 plus your bills and council tax. That's the reasons I live in Harlow, right? So this is how we need to practice. So answer me, why do you live there? Why do you live there? Please answer me why. Why? Give me 3-4 reasons. Why do you live there? Why do you live there? Why do you live there? Yeah, Jabir said, because it's my father, grandfather, and my birthplace, that's why I live there. Yeah. So this is my birthplace, and since my childhood, I've been living here. And also, right? Give me 3-4 reasons. Why do you live there? So why is it famous for? You can tell that as well. Okay. Tawhida said, I live there for the purpose of my husband posting. Okay, Tawhida, this is a shortcut answer. So you can say a lot of reasons. Why do you live there? So definitely Germany is you know, it's a very developed country. So of course, your husband posting, that's gonna be one reason, and try to give 2 more reasons. Probably you love to settle there, and for future generation, probably you'd like to get better education for your kids. Probably that might be another reason. So yeah, type in the chat box, why do you live there? And then so why is it famous for? Why is it famous for? So you can say it's famous for a number of reasons. First of all, secondly, thirdly, and lastly. This is the things, right? This is how you need to practice. You need to practice. And the next question is, do you have any interesting memory with this place? Please share with us. So again, you need to start with a sentence like many, several, number of reasons. So here I can say, yes, I have got so many interesting memories with these places, and I'd like to share with you one of them. And it's funny as well. So that time I used to work in a McDonald's, and my shift started like 9 o'clock at night and is finishing like 3 o'clock in the morning. So during my shift, I used to take the order and serve the food to the customer on the drive-through. And drive-through means, I mean, people come with the car They give the order, they take the food, they don't come inside the restaurant. So that night, I served 2 police officers with their meals like Big Mac with Coke and fries. And I think that time was around 2:30 o'clock. And after that, I finished my shift. I went, I started walking on my home because it's like 15 minutes walking. And all of a sudden, police stopped me on the way, and they said, "What are you doing here at 3 o'clock in the morning?" And they started searching me and all that stuff. And I gave them a smile and I said, 15-20 minutes ago, I served you the food, and this is the McDonald's employee, and you are stopping here. He said, "No, sorry, I didn't recognize you because you are in a different, uniform. Do you need help? Can I drop you to your house?" And I said, "No, I'm fine. I like walking in the morning. It's a fresh air as well." And that's the interesting memory, though I was a bit scared, right? So thank you for listening. So this is how we need to say something like this. There are a lot of stories. There are a lot of interesting memories with this place, and I'd like to share it to definitely one of them, and then you tell your story, right? So this is how we need to give a presentation. And if you do so, it's going to help you to answer your cue card. Did you get me? So yeah, this is how we need to prepare for the presentation, and this is how you need to give a presentation, right? So first of all, you need to ask a lot of questions, then answer it many times, and after that give a presentation. Hi, my name is Habib, and today I'd like to share the topic. The topic is a place I live in. The place I live in is called Harlow. It's 35 minutes away from London, and it's a beautiful town. I have been living here for last 7 years, and the reason I live here is my wife, she works in Stansted Airport. I work in London, and the place is between these 2 working places, and also the place is not that much expensive. I mean, you can rent a flat by £900, or you can buy a flat like 200 grand, and that's the reason I live in here. So this place is famous for many reasons. It's called Administrative City. It's very close to Chelmsford, and if you'd like to go to Cambridge, it's just 25 minutes away. And there is a Marina Village. It's called the tourist spot. I mean, if you go there, you can see a lot of tourists over there, and there are lakes, boats over there. You can rent them, and you can stay one night as well. And I have got so many interesting memories with these places, and definitely I'd like to share one of them, then tell you a story. And once you finish, they say, "Okay, thank you for listening to me." Did you get me? So this is your homework, and you need to speak for 3 minutes. So all you got to do is you need to practice this. You need to practice 10 times in front of the mirror, upload your video in Study UK Visa, right? So now I have got a question to you. How did you find today's class? Is it okay? Is it excellent? Is it outstanding? Type in the chat box. I'd like to see. How did you find this class? How did you enjoy this class? Type in the chat box very quickly. So how did you find today's class? Is it okay? Is it excellent? Is it outstanding? I'd like to see. Very quickly, type in the chat box. Okay, Zabir said it's great. Okay, so let's say 5 out of 10 is okay, 7 is excellent, and 10 is outstanding. Type in the chat box. How did you find this class? Is it okay? Is it excellent? Is it outstanding? So I believe that, I mean, if you follow this 12 classes, 12 days workshop, 12 days training program, it's going to change your life. And if you're struggling to get a better score in IELTS exam, and if you follow my instruction, if you get a topic and ask 3-4 questions, then answer it, and then give a presentation, and this is how you're gonna better speaking English, right? So I'd like to see some comments. So Zabir said it's great. Azhar said it's excellent. Asma said outstanding. Alamgir said excellent. Shukriya said excellent. Zishan said awesome. Rukul Meda said outstanding. Shibli said outstanding. Tawhid Akhtar said outstanding. Pritisha said outstanding. Asma said 10 out of 10. Nazar said is excellent. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your feedback. I'm trying my best to give you 100%. I'm not sure how much you're gonna take, but you know, my regret is most of the students they don't give value this course because it's free. That's why. However, I mean, if you'd like to get this course out of the market, you need to pay at least 10-15,000 taka or 10-15,000 rupee. So I definitely recommend you, you know, get the benefit out of it. And yeah, okay, Zizan said, what's your name? Okay, thanks for asking, Zizan. My name is Hassan Habib. You can call me Habib, right? So yeah, I'd like to see your presentation tomorrow. The topic is a place you live in, and you got to speak at least 3 minutes, right? So record it, give a presentation, upload on the group. I'm really excited to see your presentation. Make sure you give a presentation, not ask and answer. Let me explain to you in Bengali. টপিকের উপরে কোশ্চেন আস্ক এবং আনসার করবেন না, আপনি যেটা করবেন আস্ক এন্ড আনসার নিজে প্র্যাকটিস করবেন, তারপরে পুরো প্রেজেন্টেশনটা 3 মিনিটস যাবত আপনি বলতে থাকবেন. So for example, I gave you the presentation, right? So this is how. So I'm really excited to see you tomorrow's presentation, and I'd like to see you tomorrow's class, right? Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow. I got to run to my office. Thank you. Bye-bye.